Okay. Again, welcome to the second part of the free webinar with POS Soccer. I see more people coming in. Okay. Okay. Tonight we'll be talking about two very important topics. Okay. The first one is the task of a coach. We'll spend most of our time on the task of a coach. Then, of course, we'll spend the last few minutes talking about the qualities of an effective coach. It's kind of dicey because what's an effective coach, right? We all can have our meanings and definitions and all that good stuff. So we'll see how it goes as we go along here. Take a look at one of the top coaches in the world right now, Jurgen Klopp, what he said about a coach. He says, no coach ever stops learning. That's what makes the great coach. He also said, great coaches strive to learn every day, just like you're doing now. And they never stop asking questions. So for us as coaches, that's what we should be aiming at every day. Okay. To start off with, let's ask ourselves this very simple question. What is a task? Okay. And you can see I have a couple of definitions there for you. I apologize if you can't see my video. I'm getting some error messages, but I'm sure you can hear me and you can see the slide. What is a task? You may want to ask, and you can see from the Merriam-Webster dictionary there, you can define them as assigned piece of work, often to be finished within a set period. As a coach, that pretty much is your periodization and your schedule. It can also be defined as a piece of work that has been given to you or a job. And of course, some of us are volunteer coaches. And even if you are a volunteer, it's considered a job. With that in mind, I want you to think of your environment, where you are as a coach. What are some of the tasks that you are faced with? What are some of the things that you do? Okay, you don't have to share it with me right now, but I want you to think about it and maybe hopefully write it down. Write it down somewhere, because I'm going to go through a list of some of the things that we as coaches have to go through. And my hope is that it will make sense to you as I go through. And again, don't forget, you can leave your questions. You can leave your questions using the chat button. Please mute yourself. If you're in here, mute yourself to reduce the background noise. Yeah, mute yourself. Okay, got it. Okay, the first I have here is training sessions. That is the most, some would say the most important part of our job as coaches, and the one that you are most familiar with, the training session. Now, when it comes to the training session, how do you prepare for that? As a coach, how do you decide what to work on? What topic are you going to be dealing with? Most of the time, that depends on where you are in the season. Are you in your preseason? Or are you in season? Or are you at the tail end of your season? So all those would help you as you prepare. Keep in mind, on this presentation, we have coaches who have coached at the national level. We've had coaches who've coached at the premiership top level in their countries. And we have coaches here who coach grassroots kids. So I want you to expand your reasoning as I go through this. And as part of your preparation, it's your prioritization. Because what you work on during your season, especially those of you who are here now, I know that coach high school, it's totally going to be different what you do preseason and settling towards the tail end of the season. So that is very important for you as a coach to be able to recognize. And then executing that session. Do you have the right equipment for your sessions? I will show you a short clip of a coach, how he uses his equipment, his flip chart, to prepare for his training. So for you, do you use flip charts? Do you use videos? Okay. And for those of us who have coached young kids, U5s, U6, U7s, you don't want to forget the most important equipment, which is the snacks. They want their snacks. Do you have those ready? Because sometimes that's all the kids are there for. And we should be ready to accompany that, to accommodate that. Lastly, when it comes to training session, what methodology are you using? You just can't be swinging it out there, right? You just can't have a bunch of players there and just let them play. You have to have a purpose, a methodology. And you can see we have three very common methodology. We have the PPP, which is the play, practice, play. That is what we currently use right now for the grassroots players in the United States. Is the methodology we teach coaches here. Play, practice, play. My hope is we'll go into details about methodologies on a different presentation. Then, of course, we have others, like the ones used in Europe and the one that AFCAN in Africa, the ones we use in terms of methodology, which is your warm-up, your functional training, your phase of play, and of course the game. Finally, in the US, for those higher level courses, we use the WOLI, what we call WILE, warm-up, orientation, learning, and implementation phase. So these are all methodologies. As a coach, you have to know, you have to pick one. You have to figure out which one matches the level, ability, and age of your players. Again, like I said, I would love to go into details on the methodologies, but I think that would take too much time. We'll do that hopefully on a different day. Let me quickly look to see if we have any question. Okay, no question yet. Again, don't forget to use the chat button to ask questions. Let's watch this short clip of a coach right before his training session. Take note of the tools that he uses to make sure that the players understand exactly what he wants to accomplish and what he wants them to do on the pitch. So let's watch.
P1, P2, obviously stands for practice 1, practice 2, game 1, game 2, okay, and then tactical 1 and tactical 2. Yeah, so that's going to be session structure today. Yeah, with your P1, I've set up 4 different channels. So you'll see channel 1 here with your white codes, then you've got another channel here, then you've got another channel in the middle, then another channel there at the end. Okay? Simple.
Okay. As a coach using his tool. And here's another clip.
If I check to the left and I drop to the right, yep. What's my first thought as soon as you see it? Try what, sorry? Try and turn on it, try and face you up. If I try and face you up immediately, then I know to go left and right. So, yeah. If I can face you up, if not, then what we need to think about is your policy. And also receiving that safe side there, I'm out to protect it. Okay? Then I can
As a coach, you have to be able to do that, which is demonstrate what you want exactly from your players. And you can see the coach there showing the player not one, but 2 or 3 options on how to receive the ball with pressure and how to get away from the pressure. Now, if you cannot do it as a coach, it's okay. It's okay. But you have to be able to allow a player that's very good at it to show the other players exactly what you want and then paint the picture. Paint the picture for your players. Again, this is coaching on the field, and I believe it's one of the critical part of our job as coaches. Here's another clip.
Okay, well, it's exactly the same. So I want you to think about ways that you can maybe get a little quick 1-2 in, the way that you can maybe make it a 2v1, and defending wise how you can press the ball as well. Still thinking about, first of all, securing the ball, and then being inventive to twist and turn. Good, right. Excellent running with the ball. Excellent, great combination, well done. Fantastic. Take that positive to try and great pass, good idea.
Okay, so coaches, can you tell the methodology the coach is using? You don't have to answer right now, but I want you to think about that. Think about that because he has his clipboard out for each of the stages that he was going, each of the progression. He has his clipboard with diagrams to show the players exactly what he wants. And then they go on the pitch and execute. You can see his instructions. They were short. That means they were brief, straight to the point, concise, and very clear. There is absolutely no doubt in the mind of those players what the coach wants. So that's how you should think of your session. Clear, concise information, and it has to be brief so you can get it going. Coaching games that you could break down into 3 main components as part of your task as a coach. What do you do before your game? What we call pre-game. What do you do during the game? And what do you do after the game? Keep in mind, we have people on this call that have coached at the highest level, like I said earlier, at the national level, premiership level. And we have people who are volunteer coaches who coach U6, U5, high school coaches, college coaches. They're all on this. I want you to think of your environment. How does this reflect in your environment? Pre-game. Do you have a pre-game routine? I remember when I coached in college, we had one. We have to all eat a pre-game meal. So we use that as our rituals before each game. What do you have? What do you do as a coach? Do you have the roles of your backroom staff, your assistant coaches, your team manager? Do you have all that lined out? The starting lineup. Does the player know who is starting? When did you announce that? Day before, day off? When do you do those? The roles of the players for the game. At what point do you let those players know? Do you want to let them know early to give them time to reflect and prepare? What is your overall strategy for that game? What are you trying to achieve? Most times, it's not all about winning, especially those of you who have coached at the highest level. It's not always about winning. So what are we trying to achieve? Then during the game, as a coach, are you leading by example? Are you showing respect, not just for your players, but for the opponents and the officials? Are you doing that? When the game is going on, are you taking notes of what's happening, things that you would like to tweak or change? Are you keeping calm, not to overreact? Because I'm going to show you some videos I'll show you some videos of coaches behaving badly. I will also show you some videos of players behaving badly. How do you react to those? How do you handle those? I will also show you video of parents behaving badly. How do you manage those? Then, of course, the post game. The post game is not the time for you to analyze the game that you just finished. That's exactly the wrong time to do it. So you want to give a very quick general reflection. Remind your players the next practice or the next game. Give them the details of that. If you are like me that love to coach the kids, get the parents together and give them a quick roundup and reflection as to what you think about the game in general. This should not take longer than 2-3 minutes. It's not a time for Q&A. It's just a time to let the parents know what you're doing and that you're happy with the kids and send them on their way. Then, of course, you as a coaching staff, you all have to reflect as a group as to what just happened. What did we do well? What can we improve on? And as the head coach, you must have to find time to go home, sit down, and reflect on your own thoughts. This is one task that a lot of youth coaches, those of you who coach in the college, maybe high school, and the professional level that are on this call right now may not have to deal with this, but dealing with parents, the fans, could be an issue. And for you as a coach, you have to be able to find a way to manage those. When it comes to managing things that happen around you in your environment, I broke them down into two: controllables and the non-controllables. And one of the things that I believe we as coaches are responsible for is the behavior of our parents, for those of you who coach at the youth level. I'll play this short video for you, and I want you to think about your environment and think about if this is one of your parents, how would you react? How would you react to this? So let's watch this short video.
Get him off the field! Okay, because your coach has been watching it. Use your hands, it's okay. Use your hands, they're not calling it, it's okay. You gotta get that kid off the field! Number 9, the one that did throwing him the whole time! Really? Really? Okay. She's gonna go back to the car. No, right? We gotta raise down! Okay, that's it, you're done. I can't say it.
As you can hear there, the lady used profanity at the end there. Go F off. So that's a parent who is irate, not happy. As a coach, how do you deal with those? You don't want to be the second person being thrown out. So you have to be cool, calm, and collected. Do you have somebody that can help you manage that while you focus on the players on the pitch? There are some other things you have no control over, right? The leadership in your club, the chairman of your club. For those of you who are, you have chairmen in clubs. I know there are some coaches here from Africa, so you use chairmen or directors. For those of you here, DOCs, board members. How do you deal with them? Because sometimes your philosophy may not be in line with theirs. How do you make sure that you work together to make sure you guys have the same philosophy? Now, look at what's going on around the world with the COVID-19. You as a coach have to follow the rules of your FA, your state association, and health officials. You are responsible for that. Here in POS, we came out with a guideline, return to play guideline, that explains in detail what and how coaches should behave The question is, do you have one? Do you have a guideline now, presently, in place before you return back to play? So these are some of the things as coaches that are not under your control totally, but you have to be aware. You have to be aware because at the end of the day, you are responsible for the players, you are responsible for the parents of your players. Here's another task: managing your team. For those of us that coach at the youth level and have coached at the professional level and maybe at the high school and college level, I'm going to play a short video now that will tell you the difficulty that could occur if you as a coach have not created a positive culture with your team. As a coach, you are responsible for creating that culture. You are responsible for making sure that you create a safe and fun environment. And safe and fun environment not just for you and your team, but for your opponent and also the officials. Let's take a look at this video. A little long, but I'll try to cut it short. It just shows you some of team behaviors or maybe individual behaviors that could occur on our teams, that high school, college, or even at the youth level. This could occur. And as a coach, have you done everything in your power to make sure you've created a culture that will prevent this from happening? So let's watch. When you have someone like Diego Costa on your team, Diego Costa is a good player. As a coach and a manager, you have to be able to deal with that. Great player, but how do you manage him? As you can see there, some of the greatest players of all time. You could have one of those on your youth team now behaving badly. The question for you as a coach is what should be your corresponding behavior to such? Okay, what should be your corresponding behavior? I mean, that becomes crucial because at the end of the day, you as a coach have to be able to manage yourself. You have to be able to manage yourself. And let me see if I can show you one scenario where you may not want to be part of. So this is managing your players. So here's a little clip here. Okay, it's thinking. Yeah, here's a little clip here that will kind of show you a coach who was upset about player behavior, but then himself got out of hand. And now we are talking about two people who are out of control. So as a coach, you don't want to be that person. You have to know your player. When you have a player like Diego Costa on your team or a player that is highly volatile, you as a coach have to find ways to make sure that you don't only control that player, but you control yourself. And that starts from building rapport with your players, knowing your players, and hopefully be able to guide them. Okay. My computer is thinking here. Okay, do I have everybody? I hope I didn't lose everybody. So hold on, let's get back in. Just give me a second here. My computer just went crazy on me. So give me a second to pull back our slide. Okay. It's back on now. So let me share. Okay. Okay, we're back and here's the clip I was talking about. Okay. Some reason is skipping the very last part I want you to see, but I believe you got my gist on managing your players. There's very little you can do but to keep calm and make sure you don't escalate or be the news. Um, okay, my computer again is thinking there must be some corrupt video here that's causing the delay. Right. So talking about leading yourself. So we are down to the sixth task of a coach, which is leading yourself. Why the computer reboots itself here? Okay, yeah, it's back on. Or trying to come back on. Sorry about that. So one of the things you have to deal with when you are using technology, it's not always perfect, but you have to do what you can to keep plugging along. All right. The next slide you should see, hopefully when the computer comes back on here, it's managing yourself as a coach. Okay. And now you've seen those players behaving badly, some intentionally, some maybe by error. The question is, for you as a coach, what role do you want to play in that? You don't want to be the news. Okay. You don't want to be the news. And certainly, the last video, the last clip I was going to show here was a player and a coach actually getting into it. A player and a coach fighting, and the coach made the news. There are other ways you could have handled that, especially on the pitch in public, but the coach did not. So you don't want to be that coach. Respect is earned. You have to earn it. Because you are the coach does not mean the players don't have their own dignity. They do have their own dignity. So you have to understand and respect that. Again, you have to keep your cool at all times as a coach. You have to keep your cool. And lastly, on the task of a coach, I always tell coaches nobody really cares what you know until they know that you care. Until they really know that you care. So you have to, as a coach, show that you really do care for your players. Now, I'm going to go to the chat button and see some questions here. I think I see a few. All right, somebody's asking, I think this is Coach Walter. How and when would you initiate a demonstration? Okay, this is Walter, one of POS coaching instructor. How and when? From the video that we showed Walter, I'm not sure if you saw it. I'm not sure if you saw it from the video. When you see a breakdown that really matters to you and matters to what you are trying to teach, okay, that's the when. That's when you initiate a demonstration or a demo, okay? Then the how do you do that as a coach? If you are capable of doing it, then you do it. If you're not, then you can use a player who is capable of doing it, like we saw on the video. And I think it was Walter again. What are things you could do to build a positive team culture? See, that's a great question. There are several things you could do to build a positive team culture. Depending on the age of the team you have, it could simply mean having a day out with the team. When I coached in college, we go camping. We go camping and I take the girls. It was a college team. I take them camping. It was fantastic. They loved it. And we always do it. We always do it before. Sorry there. I'm changing slides. We do it before the season. So it's a pre-season activity for us. Okay, so it depends on the age group you are coaching. That could mean maybe taking them to a birthday party or to a park to do something other than play soccer. So everyone listening to me here will have to make that decision as to what you can do to help boost that team culture. Okay, and like I said earlier, you could even be having snacks available for your players, depending on the age group of your players, right? Okay, I think we are back on the slide now, so you guys can see me. So it depends on your age group, Walter. I believe that was the last question there. So let's moving along. So this is the slide that ends the task of a coach. Okay. Okay. So make sure you as a coach, you can lead yourself. You have your self-respect, because you have to respect yourself. You have to respect your players for them to respect you. All right. You don't want to be the news. You have to earn that respect. Okay. With that said, qualities of an effective coach. By definition here, what and who is an effective coach? Okay. Producing a decisive and desired effort. So if your goal is to win one game all season, by definition, you're an effective coach, because that was your desired outcome. Okay, so here's another definition. Okay, could be just being the best in your league, right? But if that is not your desired effort or desired goal, may not be considered effective if you were to go to the continental level or to national events but just won your league locally. Okay, so again, I want you guys to be open to the word effective. Effective means what you want it to mean. It means, have you done what you set out from the start of your season? Have you done it? And if the answer is yes, then you have made progress. You're an effective coach by definition. Okay? Okay, trying to get my camera back on here. All right. Here are some qualities of an effective coach according to the WCW partners. It's a lot, but this is something that you want to think about as a coach. You want to be able to think outside the box. Like presenting today, I have 2 cameras ready just in case one screws up. And behold, one screwed up and I'm using the second one. And I had a plan to make sure my PowerPoint, I have it printed. That way, if something happens to technology, I can at least have the PowerPoint in hand. So for you as a coach, you have to be able to think outside the box. You have to be ready. Don't assume everything is going to work perfect. Focus on your strengths and the positive part of you and your players. Be very patient. Be patient. You have to be enthusiastic. The players want to see you happy. They want to see you hopeful. Nobody wants to play for a coach that is always negative. Okay? Nobody wants to play for a coach that is always negative. Be honest, and your integrity is very important. Okay? You have to have self-confidence. However, self-confidence comes from being competent. You get that? Self-confidence comes from being competent, which means you know what you are doing, then you have that self-confidence. You have to be consistent, but also flexible. right? You may be consistent on some things, but you have to be flexible. Be ready to change. Be ready to change your training session from a 9v9 to a 6v5 because you're missing some players. You have to be ready. You have to be resourceful as part of that readiness to run the session yourself just in case your assistant coach did not show up. Genuine concern for others. Like I said earlier, nobody really cares what you know. Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. So it's very important that you show genuine care. And personally, for me, an effective coach, a coach that meets this, a coach that is knowledgeable, a coach that has respect for the game, the player, and the officials. Nobody does that better than Jurgen Klopp right now at the world stage. We have many of those in PA West, in the US, and around the world who are doing that. Showing respect, regardless of the result, showing respect for the game, for the players, and for officials. Always seek knowledge. Every one of you here now meets that criteria. I do that every day, seek knowledge. It doesn't matter if I already knew it before. It helps to reinforce what I know. And sometimes I may not even like it, but it helps me to understand the reason why they do what they do and for a reason why I shouldn't do it. So as a coach, you have to have the growth mindset. You have to be open-minded because that's what's going to help you become an effective coach. Lastly, this is the last slide. For me, especially someone who loves youth soccer and coach youth soccer, I believe an effective coach is the one who can make not just the games, scrimmage, but your practice, make it fun. Now let's watch coaches at the highest level, players at the highest level, have fun in practice while learning in the process. Well, before I play that clip, it's the last clip. Before I play, let me go back to the chat button and see if we have any question. Oh yes, we sure do. How do you? Okay, that's Walter. I've answered that. Mike, concerning the brief post-game reflection, what are some types of things that you would and wouldn't cover in this flow? That's a great question, Mike. Okay, the game is over, right? With your players, you highlight the positive, like I just said now. Hey guys, I thought we did well moving the ball from the back to the midfield, but we're not able to connect our midfield to the forward to be able to finish. Next week, we need to work on that. Great job, guys. Any injury that we should be aware of? Practice is next Tuesday. See you. Bye. That's simple. That's not the time to start to analyze why they could not connect because it's going to fly over their head anyway. They just finished up a 90 minutes game, right? So just a general overview, Mike, will be good. You don't want to go into too much details as to why little Mickey did not pass the ball to Joshua or why the goalkeeper allowed the ball to go between the legs. That's not the time to do that. That would be for the goalkeeper to do his own self-reflection. And when you guys come back to practice fresh, then you guys can go over those in details. But that's a great question, Mike. Let me see. I think we have other questions here. Okay, I think that's it. Any other question, please don't forget to use the chat button there to type in your question. I think that's all. Okay, let me go through the last clip here to show some fun activities. These are guys who makes a lot of money, professional players. They still have fun. So for you as a coach, this is what you have to try to create for your players, regardless of the level that you coach. And as you look at this clip, you will see the name of the fun activity, and you see the age group. Like this very one is for players that are 13 and older, and you will see some for really, really young players as well. So this clip covers all age groups. Because this very activity involves heading. In the US, we do not encourage heading for U9s. So you may want to think of if you want to do this for maybe for your older players. Okay, move on. More clips for you. Okay, looks like it's slow coming up. Just give it a few seconds there. While I look to see if we have any question. Okay. Okay, there's no question. Okay, good. See if we can proceed with the video. Okay, sounds like we're having difficulty getting this video back on. It is really slow coming back on. I would, for time, we'll proceed and see if we can open it up for questions. Let's see again if we have any more question in the chat room. Nope, no question in the chat room. So anybody that have questions at this time, we can begin to take those before we run out of time. You can unmute yourself if you have question. Yeah, you can unmute yourself if you have question. Or you can type it.